Hi, I wanted to make this video because I've been thinking, and this time I've been thinking about honesty. And the reason I've been thinking about honesty is because I've recently watched the Traitors for the first time, and while I could see why it's a popular show, I was quite shocked at how these seemingly nice people could be so dishonest to people that they were forming what looked like real friendships with. So, although I watched it through to the end and I quite enjoyed it, I struggled with the moral side of it. And it's left me thinking about whether my view on honesty might be different from other people's. So I realise I'm probably one of the last people to watch this show, which seems to have been very popular over the last few years. But the recent series in the UK was the first one I've ever watched. And it took me a while to get the hang of what was happening. But once I started to understand, that's when I started to feel a bit uncomfortable about the fact that I was starting to like some of these people, and then I find out how easily they can lie to someone who they're pretending to be friends with. I mean, I know it's a game, but they're real people, and it seemed like the bonds being formed were real too. I also didn't like the fact that people seemed to be willing to throw their friendships away for money. But again, that's the whole point of the show. The money is the prize, not the friendships. So maybe I'm just taking it all a bit too seriously, and I certainly don't rule that out as being the problem here. I do realise that it's a game show, and in theory the people taking part know what they're getting into and know that they're going to be surrounded by deceit and may have to lie to people. But knowing what's involved seems quite different to me than actually meeting real people and forming bonds and friendships with them and then lying directly to their faces. So maybe that's what people like about the show, but for me, it left me a bit troubled about how people who seem nice can be dishonest. It made me wonder how many people might be lying to me while pretending to be nice or even to be my friend. I mean, hopefully there's a big difference between a show and real life, but what if there isn't? How am I supposed to know the difference? The people telling lies on the traitors were very convincing, and the other people around them seem mostly to have no idea that they were being deceived. So when I imagine myself in a situation like that, of maybe being one of the traitors, I know that I wouldn't be able to do it. So how do other people manage? Are they honest people in real life and can just put a pause on that for the sake of the show? Or do they find it easy to deceive people in their everyday life? So for me, the idea of people not trusting me is hard to take. So I think that's the first reason I know I wouldn't be able to do it. But the other reason is that I don't think physically I'd be able to do it. I'm one of those people who can't lie to save their life. If I try to tell a lie, I have all the usual giveaway signs. I get really hot, I go bright red, I start laughing, and I just have to own up. So would I ever be able to train myself to get over that, even if I wanted to? It's such an instinctive reaction for me, so it's strange to see other people not reacting in the same way when they're telling a lie. Have they trained themselves to be like that, or do they really not have those physical reactions to telling lies? And if they don't have those reactions, what does it say about them as a person? I think that's where it gets hard for me, because I want to dislike them for that trait, but yet somehow I don't, and I can see that they're really good at playing that game. I mean, what do you think? Am I overreacting and really it's not a big deal because it's just a game? Or do you also think about the moral side of it and wonder how people can do it? I mean, maybe I should try it to actually find out, but even just trying to imagine myself in that situation, I feel like I know it would break me in minutes. So the idea of keeping up the deceit for hours at a time or even days at a time and under scrutiny, it's just really baffling to me. I mean, maybe it's a type of acting and the people feel okay about it because they believe they're playing a role and it isn't real. So it doesn't maybe count. But then when other people in the group start to crumble under the pressure and they try to lean on those new friendships, so then to carry on deceiving someone in that situation when someone's reaching out for support, it just seems quite morally wrong to me, and then it starts making me not want to watch. I think to me, trust is such an important thing, and I don't think I'd be willing to risk having people lose trust in me because they find out that I've been lying to them. And really, the only way to stay safe from that is to not lie in the first place. And I do live my life like that, and I don't think I could change it just because it was a game show. And if people do mistrust me for any reason, the only thing that keeps me going is the knowledge that I know that I'm telling the truth. And that'll have to be good enough, especially if I can't prove that I'm telling the truth. And actually, on one of my previous videos, someone suggested that I could be an AI. And so that was an interesting accusation. And I wasn't sure how to prove that I wasn't. I'm still not sure how to prove that, but I know I'm not. And I also had a thing happen to me in one of the first jobs I ever had, where I lost some money. And it was quite a large amount of cash, and I was supposed to put it in a tube and drop it into the safe. And it was a regular part of the job, and it wasn't a big deal. And then one day I was busy with something else when I took the money from a customer. And so I put it down on the side in a staff-only area while I finished what I was doing. And it was a busy job and I got distracted and I must have forgotten to go back and put it in the safe before I finished my shift. And I'd completely forgotten about it until I got a phone call a few days later asking if I'd taken the money. And it was such a horrible feeling because I had no way of proving that I hadn't taken the money, but it was nowhere to be found. And the idea that people thought I might be lying or that I had taken the money and that they couldn't trust me was really hard for me to take. And I felt like that they were being careful not to leave anything valuable around me, and really who could blame them? So to me, the only explanation is that someone else who worked there must have taken it, and I didn't like that thought either. It never did get resolved, and I got a written warning rather than being fired, so maybe they did actually believe that I didn't take it. I had to take responsibility because it was my fault that it didn't get put in the safe straight away. So I definitely didn't make that mistake again, and I also never wanted to find myself in another situation like that, where people weren't sure whether or not they could trust me. So maybe it's a perfect kind of storm for me that maybe some slightly autistic traits might make me a bit more sensitive to morals and justice and that sort of thing, together with maybe those extra sensitivities based on some past experiences. But whatever it is, seeing a show like The Traitors being really popular, it stirs up some feelings in me about honesty. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't even tell a little white lie if I thought it might be able to protect someone's feelings. But on the whole, I do value honesty a lot. I offer it to other people and I hope that they offer it back to me. I don't really see the point in connecting with people in a dishonest way. I like having meaningful connections with people, and I just don't really see how that can be possible if anyone's being dishonest. So I really just wanted to get that off my chest and maybe find out whether anyone else had thoughts like that after watching that show. I probably will watch another series of it when it comes out because it is quite fascinating to see how people deal with those sorts of situations. But I'll just know in advance this time that it's probably going to trouble my morals. So I'll have to put that aside and just remember that it's a game and those people probably don't deceive their family and friends in real life. So I'd be interested to know what you think if you'd like to leave a comment. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I think that's all for this time. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!